Here's the two screens on the Infiniti Q50. This is a 2014. As you well know, the two screen deal here where it takes 5,000 years to start up when you first fire up your car. So we're going to replace both these screens. Well, technically we're going to replace this screen. This screen has to sit behind it, but we're going to replace this with an Android style screen. So here's what it's going to look like. The screen is going to be a big Tesla style 13.6 inch Android radio. And this is 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐲 Mark 6 model. So this is the upgraded model. It's got a full HD 13.6 inch screen, 1440p. This one's I think it's an 8-core CPU with 8 gigs of RAM, I believe, and 128 gigs of internal memory, so we can store apps and all that. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go ahead and show you how to install this, or uninstall what we need to in the car, and then install this and kind of show you what this head unit's all about. I will leave a link in the description below for this head unit, along with others for other vehicles if you're interested in checking it out. Here's everything that comes in the box. You got the head unit itself right here. We'll look at that in just a second. Then you have all these different kind of wires here. They do give you kind of a manual, and what I've been told on the manual, it's not the best, but it does kind of explain everything here. So like you got your 4G antennas right here, you got a GPS antenna right here, microphone, RCAs. And then here's a piggyback. So this, anytime it's a piggyback style, this goes on the top screen. So it piggybacks off of that. Another one right here. So that piggybacks off the top screen. Oh, this is the factory GPS antenna adapter. And this looks like a auxiliary port, SIM card slot. This is an extension that runs. They have a rear view camera if you don't have that set up in your car. Now it will hook up, my understanding is it hooks up to the factory rear view camera and 360 camera if you have one. Here's another jumper cable of some sort, RCAs again. And this one's USB, so that way you can put this in your center console. And if you want to plug your phone in to have it wired, you can. That has wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Doesn't need to be wired, but if you want to, you can wire it in. Some kind of external speaker. I don't know why they provide that, but they do. Let's go ahead and take a look at the screen. So here's the screen. It has the factory AC buttons on the sides here and on the bottom here. And also you're going to get the AC controls on the actual screen on the unit. Then on the back side, it has all the plugins and all that. And on the manual, it does explain which one goes where, and if it has any piggybacks, where it piggybacks to. And then once we get the old one out, we can start wiring this one in and get going. And then you'll see right here a screw there, and then there is a screw down there to unscrew. And then what we're going to need to do is put this in drive with the e-brake on, ignition on only, and then we got to pop this off. There's a clip. We got to pull this down, and there's a clip underneath here that allows this to come apart. But before we mess with the shifter, we want to go ahead and put the emergency brake down there, and that'll allow us to put it in drive when we put this in the ignition mode. So let's go ahead and pop that off, baby. Kind of. There you go. So that's how pull that piece off. When you pull that piece off, there actually is a screw right here to remove. Another screw. Another one. Who was that? DJ Khaled. Okay, nice one. Hope you know where that screw went. So now we're gonna pull the shift boot down. Get it at least? Okay. So once you do that, there's a little clip in there. It's gonna allow you to pull that clip. Oops. Show me the clip right there. So that pulls, and then that allows that shifter to come off. So now we can pull this through, and we can actually push down on this to put it in gear. So now we're going to be able to pull it in neutral. Oh, there is a screw right there. Don't forget that. Don't forget that guy. So now we should be able to pull this thing away from the center console or center area here. Kind of pry this up.
You know what? I probably could have stayed. Another whole piece comes out.
Oh, maybe it stays. There we go. Careful. You break any clips? No. So now you can actually remove these connectors here, and they only go in one way, so don't worry about knowing which one's which. Okay, so now we're gonna remove this trim and that trim. Just kind of pull up on the bottom a little bit and get it loose. Go. Yeah, don't break it. It's pretty easy. Kind of slide straight back. There it goes. And once you do that, now you're gonna expose the screw here, and then there's one down. Same on the other side. And this will allow you to remove essentially the framework for the Tesla style screen. Kind of hooks up on the bottom top too. Pull down on it. There it goes. There it goes. So there it is. And then there's going to be wires on the back side we're going to have to unhook. And those will hook onto the new head unit. So this thing can go away for now. My understanding is that this screen stays put. But we're going to have to remove it so we can piggyback off of the wires that are behind that. So it looks like there's some screws here, one right there and one right there, so we can remove it and piggyback some of the wires for the new screen. And then the new screen will just kind of go up in front of it. All right, so here's the instructions. This is the back of the head unit right there. It kind of tells you, gives numbers, telling you what goes wire. So like one is RCA cables. It kind of explains everything there. And then all of this mess right here, all the cables they provide you are right here, and it kind of explains what they are based on numbers. Now, there are certain things that you probably don't need to install. Like if you don't want to install a SIM card, if you're going to use a hotspot and not use a SIM card, which most people won't, you don't need to install that. So same thing for a review camera. I'm not going to need to install that. So there might be some things that you're not going to have plugged in, but just remember that some of these have plugs and then also plug into your factory head unit. So like this, it's going to plug in the factory head unit, but also plug into there somewhere. And then same thing for this one too as well. So some of the stuff's going to be plugged in to be new. So like the GPS antenna, it's going to be plugged in and you're going to put that somewhere out behind the head unit. And some of the stuff's going to be piggybacked or have the factory head unit or factory AC plugged directly into this. So here's the two piggyback ones. So basically they just plug into the harness that goes in from the vehicle itself, and then they plug the other side into the head unit on the back side. And then so this one will route this wire. We'll go, once we install this, we'll route this wire down below because this will plug in the back of the head unit, and so will this. And this is for the backup camera or the 360 camera that you have. Now, they also provide you a piggyback plug for the USB, which is down here. And so this will allow you to piggyback that plug that you just unplugged right there for the USB. So that's kind of back down there. And so now we got to run this cable, where'd it go? There it is. Back up through here into the head unit. It's going to be up here. So we're going to run that through nice and neat. So that's going to go up behind the head unit. So now we can install this back in and run those wires nice and neat underneath the head unit. Make sure it doesn't connect to any wires. Yep, there we go. And then put the screws back in, put the screws to it. So that way we are ready to install these wires into the new head unit. And this will go in there too, just kind of like so. And then the antennas that we have, the extra GPS antenna and the 4G antennas, we can kind of paste copy and paste. Jeez Louise. But we can tape them to underneath here, wherever we need to. So now what we have left, so we're not going to use some of these ports because we're not going to use the RCAs and the amp setup, but we have the GPS one right here, the antenna's right here. This is the microphone, external microphone right there, underneath your hand. There it is. And then these connect in to the factory unit. Yeah, that one goes right there. So these will go in, and they only go in one way. Remember the USB from down here will go down here into the number 5 slot. So what we need to do is start kind of plugging these in, and then we can start taping like the GPS and all that on top of here or on top of there to make sure that they don't rattle around. So, oh yeah, the backup camera plugs in there. Make sure that's all the way in. We found out that the actual, where'd it go? Oh, is it plugged in already? Oh, there it is. The USB that's down here plugs in to port number 3. It's the auxiliary audio instead of number 5. So that goes in there, and then the rest of this stuff over here will plug in through up here, and then the last one goes down here. So when you put it back, when you're ready to go, make sure all the wires are kind of shoved back there and test fit. You got some wires that are kind of like right here through the little channel here, and it slides up here, and then you got the screw over here, that side, and the screw right here will line up. So once you line that up, it'll allow you to start putting the panels in. Now the next thing is, well, hold on, before we put the rest of it, before you can screw it in, actually, probably should have tested it out. Turn on ignition. Whoa. There we go. Now it's going to connect. We already turned it on. Spoiler alert. So now I'm going to shove these in so you can see. Oops, there we go. So you can see right here, they have these clips that get pushed in. So I kind of go straight in. Make sure it's flush. Then you take the other one, do the same. Oh, there's a screw, that's right. There's a screw on that one, and this one goes in without a screw. There you go. Should have checked to see if the rear view camera works first. Let's check that.
Just go ahead and start it, yeah.
Oh. Oh, it works.
Yeah.
There we go. So now what we're going to do is put this back. This plugs in right here. There's a port right here. And then these two kind of plug in the bottom here. And they can only go in one way, so don't worry about it. It's got little spots for it to push into. All the way in? Yeah?
I think so.
Almost. It's almost flush. I found that screw about 20 minutes later. You put this thing in, kind of line it up. It kind of presses right in, right?
Kind of.
Very gently. Yeah, nothing goes back together exactly what you want. That works out really well.
Okay.
All right. We do the shift knob, and you have the little C clamp. I imagine you got to push down a little bit on that before you push it in. Little groove. You need 3 hands. There you go. And then that boot just kind of pulls up and snaps in place. There we go. And then we got the side. Kind of press fit on. So they kind of get the little slots right here. Kind of slide down. There we go. That went on really easy.
Yeah, almost like we knew what we were doing.
Oh, that little, there's a little. Something that slides in.
Mm-hmm.
we go.
Here it goes.
Look at that. And it's done. Now we gotta set up everything, do all the settings, and we'll get back and show you what it looks like. All this features. Here's the main screen of this. So this is what it's gonna look like. And you can kind of modify this how you want. You have all your apps up here. We kind of already modified these to go. Oh, now it's converting to Bluetooth. So that's the wireless Apple CarPlay that automatically connected. So we kind of put whatever we wanted up here. So YouTube TV, Netflix, ESPN. Car Auto takes you to wireless CarPlay. They also have Android Auto on here if you want. And then InTouch takes you to the factory stuff for the radio and all that. So you can tap on that. So as you can see, you're down here, you got different controls, the factory controls you had before. You got the AC or HVAC controls down there. And up here, as you remember, the InTouch system. So you can go to the radio if you wanted to. Turn the volume down. So now you have your factory radio stuff that you can do on here. So now if you wanted to, you got your source. You can go to Sirius XM radio, AM, disc, but you can't use the disc anymore because it's behind the screen. So if you want to go back home, you can go back home here. And so we could, if we wanted to go to CarPlay, we can just hit CarPlay. So we're at CarPlay here. Just go through all the normal stuff you wanted to go through, Pandora, all that. Whatever you wanted to do on here for CarPlay. If you want to use TV, since we have YouTube TV for this, you can do that. Oh, it's not connected to Wi-Fi. We got to connect it to Wi-Fi. But you will, for YouTube TV and Netflix and all that, you're going to need an internet connection, whether that's tethered to your phone or a wireless hotspot, or if you use the little SIM card tray. So now we can connect to, since we have YouTube TV, we can do whatever we want here. Watch live video here. Live TV. Now we have the audio off for reasons. But yeah, it'll work in drive. So now we're in drive, we're moving. It'll work while you're driving around and all that. You can watch TV. You can also get this to, well, right now it'll display stuff down here. I'm pretty sure it display the score. Thought I had the score down here, but maybe not. But you can also get it to just display in the middle if you wanted to. Well, you got the little pop-up here. So this is just like you would think getting an Android tablet and just putting right here. So if you can think about it in that term, it is exactly like that. Basically everything's on Android. Everything downloaded is from Android Play Store. And then it also has your factory stuff on there from the InTouch. So there are, one of the few things it's kind of wonky on this, I say, is you got to think about this as you got an Android tablet settings and then you have the vehicle settings. So when you're talking about settings, so you got settings on this right here, and this goes through vehicle settings, certain vehicle settings, system settings, wheel settings, Android settings. This goes to actual Android settings. So you got to remember where all that kind of goes. There's a few things you're going to need to set up first. So you got the little widget guy down here that kind of pops up. I think he's like a little helper. You got to get rid of him if you want him gone. There's a setting to get these. You could change the colors of these. Do you remember where that was? So the color, you go to the app drawer, and it's the ambient light guy. So it's the ambient light set. And so here's all the apps we have installed right now. And that'll allow you to change the color of these if you wanted to. Based on, so now they're green, blue, white, whatever. We kind of matched it up to the vehicle's colors up there. So we went with blue. There's also a few settings you need to go through for what your vehicle does. Where are those? Setup guide. So factory amp, we had to turn that on because it sounded terrible. Then we're like, what in the world's going on here? But we got that set up. Dynamic guidance, radar sound, show door state. So now it'll show if the door's opening or closed, which one's open or closed. The volume button, all of these controls up here on the steering wheel work. So the volume up and down. you might have to change it up and down. So the previous next, we had to turn that on to negative because it was working backwards for us. So you had all that. What else did we have that we set up here? Trying to think. Set up the way you want it for sure. You can move the icons around at the top, kind of put whatever we wanted up there. Set the time. Put it on night mode. So just the regular screen right here. So if you were in the regular menu right here, everything looks kind of factory, just a little bit more digital. Actually, you know what? This one had 2 screens. So this one a little bit different. But everything's just like it was. And then if you wanted Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it's whatever you have set up. What was the AC settings? How did we get the AC settings? Oh, there we go. Pressing that down. So then you can use the controls over here for up and down, or you can use the digital settings. Whatever you please. That's pretty much it. You're ready to go. You watch TV, watch Netflix. You can use CarPlay and Android Auto, or you can just listen to radio all you want. If you have any questions or comments, put in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. If this is your first time to my channel, please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time.